Let's talk about one of the most polarizing conversations and topics amongst Falcons fans, which is trading for Justin Fields. So ESPN came out with a new article that talked about what some of their insiders would love to see happen this offseason, and a handful included Justin Fields to Atlanta. Now, before we look at those quotes, I think an important place to start this conversation is what the Bears CEO Kevin Warren said in an interview with NBC Chicago, where he talked about Justin Fields. And I want to share with you guys because I think it's important to the story. Kevin Warren said, "I'm a supporter of Justin because I got a chance to work with him when I was commissioner of the Big Ten Conference. He is incredibly talented. He is smart, he works hard, and he wants to be a great NFL football player. And now he just needs to make sure he has the support around him. He's working hard. I would love to see him this offseason and make sure he's totally healthy going into the season next year. Justin has a rare combination of intelligence, of size, of strength, and speed. You forget how big of a man he is up until you're up on him. He's not a small man. I just think every year he's going to continually get better. I'm glad he's on the Chicago Bears." So, why did I share that Kevin Warren dick-sucking quote with you guys about Justin Fields? Is it because the Bears are going to keep him now? Or is it because Kevin Warren is trying to raise the stock, raise the value of Justin Fields before they trade him? I think it's the latter. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, ESPN's NFL insiders offered up one move they would love to see get done this offseason. And former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum, who is not the sharpest tool in the shed, he's got some really bad ideas, and I'm kind of disturbed that he was calling the shots for an NFL franchise at one point. But him and Mike Clay, their one move, Justin Fields trade to Atlanta, which I know Tannenbaum has an idea of doing something. It's probably a good idea to do the opposite, but I do like Mike Clay a lot, so I think these two cancel out a little bit. But of course, Justin Fields would be a homecoming as he is from Kennesaw and he went to Harrison. And you guys know where I stand on Justin Fields. If you've been a longtime viewer of the channel, I believe in Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has some incredible traits that you look for in a quarterback. He's got not only a great dynamic rushing ability, but he can make all the passes. He's got great velocity on his ball. He can throw it downfield accurately. But of course, there are some improvements that have to be made to Justin Fields' game, right? For starters, he holds onto the ball for a tad too long. With better coaching, I think that can go down. And if that goes down, I think the turnovers are going to go down as well. And then the other crime that was committed against Justin Fields was when you look at his rushing abilities, like go back to his real breakout 2022 season on the ground, 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. And what did the bright minds in Chicago on that coaching staff decide to do in 2023? Let's rush him a lot less. They did not even start using him as a rusher until a third of the way into the season, which is why I believe Justin Fields can be a very successful quarterback, and he just needs a better coaching staff around him, which he does not have in Chicago, but he will have in Atlanta. So for those of you that are not on board with trading for Justin Fields, I'm probably not going to convince you 100%, or at least all of you in one video. But I do want to have an honest conversation about what are the Falcons' quarterback options. Let's run through what they can do this offseason to get ready for the 2024 season at the quarterback position. Option number 1, in-house. Option number 2, because that's not going to work, is free agency. Now, let's look at some of the free agent quarterbacks the Falcons could pursue. The biggest name on the street is Kirk Cousins. Now, I believe the Vikings are going to re-sign him. If they don't re-sign him, then that is an intriguing option, although a rumored price tag of $90 million for a 35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear, that turns me off. So I don't think you should put your eggs in the Kirk Cousins basket. I think Baker Mayfield gets re-signed. And then you get another tier of quarterbacks like Gardner Minshew, who played well this past year, Ryan Tannehill, Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky, Tyrod Taylor, Sam Darnold. Those are all short-term stopgap quarterbacks. I don't think that's the direction Arthur Blank wants to go. And then you've got Russell Wilson and now recently suspended Jimmy Garoppolo, who are both expected to be released. And Russell Wilson is definitely an intriguing option because he would come in with a very cheap price tag, so you could build a good roster around him. But does anyone think Russell Wilson is going to be this team's franchise quarterback for the next 3, 4, or 5 seasons? No. So he's just more of a glorified stopgap quarterback than the previous tier. So if we kind of move on from the free agent candidates, because there's not a really great solid option out there that's a surefire thing, what about trades? All right. Raheem Morris talked about going in the trade market to find a quarterback this offseason. To me, there are 3 trade options: Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson. Do we really need to have a conversation about which of these 3 options is the best option? I think we can all agree. It's Justin Fields. Which leads us in the chronological order of how the offseason will progress to option number 4, the NFL draft, where there are some great options. Don't get me wrong. And there are options in the NFL draft I would take over Justin Fields. But we need to be a little bit less naive about what's available to Atlanta at pick number 8. I don't think Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels are going to be an option for the Falcons at number 8. So maybe they trade up, but it takes 2 to trade, and the Bears, Commanders, and Patriots are all looking for a quarterback. They've got some new ownership and new head coaches in there, and I think they're going to want to get their guy, especially when you think about next year's quarterback class, which isn't very good. So then you get a next tier of quarterbacks: J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Maybe one of them is better than Justin Fields, but I don't think any of them are deserving of the 8th overall pick. So you could take them in round 2 and trade for Justin Fields, and if Fields doesn't work out, you move on from him after 1 season, and you've got a quarterback in the wings who just sat for a year and maybe is more prepared and better equipped to take over in year 2. But my question for everyone that doesn't want to get Justin Fields, I understand that through 3 years in Chicago, fairly so, you can have some criticisms and some questions over his game. But if you're not going for Fields, what quarterback option did we just go through that you want to pursue? Surely not in-house. Do you want to go for Jacoby Brissett or Ryan Tannehill in free agency? Yeah, Kirk Cousins would definitely be an upgrade from probably Justin Fields and definitely anyone on the Falcons roster. But is he such a big upgrade you want to give him $90 million guaranteed when he's coming off an Achilles injury and hope that Minnesota doesn't re-sign him? That seems like a lot of wishful thinking to me right there. You're definitely not trading for another quarterback. There's no other good quarterbacks to trade for. And you could sign Russell Wilson, which I don't think is the worst option in the world, but I think the floor with Justin Fields, or the ceiling I should say, is much higher long-term in Atlanta than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson could come here on a cheap deal. You could add some other key pieces, and hey, maybe you're like the Bucks and you win 9 games, you win the division, and you win a playoff game. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you want to have bigger aspirations, if you are looking for a quarterback that could really take your franchise to the next level, I don't think it's Russell Wilson at this stage of his career. I think Justin Fields has a much better chance of doing that. Not a guarantee, but a much better chance. Now, we're going to talk about trading for Fields in just a moment, but first, a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Prize Picks. Now, get started with Prize Picks today because it's super simple and easy withdrawals, which I love about it. All you do at Prize Picks is pick 2 to 6 players and then choose more or less on their projected stats. Now, of course, there's no more football anymore. We got the NBA All-Star break coming up. So, what did I do? Well, I talked to my NASCAR guy, Tyler Jones, and he gave me this. It's Arabic to me. I have no idea what any of this means right there. But I know one thing. Life's too short to take the less. So I'm taking the more on whatever this is in NASCAR world. I have got no idea. Someone who watches NASCAR, tell me if I made good selections for the Daytona 500 this weekend. I think it's this weekend. Sunday, baby. So ride with me at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. I look forward to going to brunch on Sunday with my girlfriend and then conveniently sitting in a spot where I can watch the Daytona 500 behind her and hope that my drivers are doing well and they got the more, baby. Now, let's get back to our originally scheduled programming, which is for those of you that don't want to trade for Justin Fields because you don't want to give up a draft pick. 'Cause I'm sure that's a good contingent of you watching right now. Here's my take. You don't want to give up a second round pick for a potential franchise quarterback. I shouldn't even put the, cart ahead of the horse here. But look at Atlanta's recent second rounders, guys. Like, you've got some good picks. Bergeron looks like a solid pick so far. Too early to really grade fairly. Ebiketie took a nice sophomore jump. Richie Grant has developed into a nice, solid starting safety. I don't think he's a Pro Bowl caliber player though. Marlon Davidson, I'm pretty sure, is out of the league at this point. Isaiah Oliver didn't stick. Deion Jones had some good moments, some good flashes. Don't get me wrong. Had some good years, good seasons. But he's gone. Jalen Collins, who? Rashad, who? If your reasoning for I don't want to trade for Fields because I don't want to give up a second round pick, well, let's go through the pros or the risk and reward. The risk is you lose the opportunity to draft someone who's been as good as Arnold Ebiketie the last 8 years, or Deion Jones. The reward is you get a franchise quarterback for the next decade plus. I think I'm willing to risk missing out on drafting a Deion Jones if the reward is getting the long-term solution at the most important position in sports. I kind of look at it as you're buying a lottery ticket, except the lottery ticket odds are not 1 in a billion. So yeah, you could lose out on $5. But if it's $5 to win $100 million, and it's a 1 in blank chance that's not outrageously out of control, I think it's worth the $5 gamble. And if it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, you're out a second round pick. Look at all the second round picks Atlanta's missed on in the last couple of years. The world's going to keep spinning. So who do you want to start week 1? Justin Fields? Someone else? Let me know in the comment section. I know everyone just wants to take a quarterback, but again, you need a good quarterback to be available to you at pick number 8, or you need to find someone to trade with. And I don't think you should completely bank and count on both or one of those things happening. And if you think they should go quarterback in round 2, fine. You could very well have 2 second-round picks if the Jags re-sign Calvin Ridley, trade one for Justin Fields, draft another, use the other one to draft J.J. McCarthy, and if Justin Fields doesn't work out after a year or two, you've got a replacement who's been growing in your farm system for the last year. I don't think that's a bad option as well. Now let's go back to what ESPN's Mike Clay and Mike Tannenbaum had to say about this whole idea. Clay wrote, entering the offseason, 2 things needed to happen in order for Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts to reach their potential. 1, Atlanta needed a more pass-friendly offense. And 2, Atlanta needed a QB upgrade. The first one is complete with Arthur Smith out and Zach Robinson in as the team's play caller. The second one will be trickier, but a trade for Fields would go a long way. Now, one thing that got the wheels turning in my head after reading Arthur Clay's reasoning for going for Justin Fields is, did Arthur Blank fire Arthur Smith? Yeah, I'm getting my Arthurs right. To play it safe, right? Did he really move on from Arthur Smith so that the next head coach could come in and bring in a Jacoby Brissett, draft a Bo Nix? No. I feel like there's a splash move in the works here because Atlanta is tired of being 7-10, being one of 2 teams to not play a single primetime game last year. They want to get butts in seats, and they want to get back on primetime. And trading for Justin Fields, that's going to help satisfy Arthur Blank's itch of getting back into the national spotlight. More on this from Mike Tannenbaum now. Atlanta needs to go get Fields for a second-round pick. Such a move would send the 2021 first-rounder to his native Georgia and help stabilize the quarterback situation there for new coach Raheem Morris. Fields, with an abundance of young talent around him and offense, could push the Falcons into the playoffs. I'm on board with trading a second-rounder for Justin Fields. I think a trade could look something like this. Fields to Atlanta for a second and a future early day 3 pick. Pretty fair trade in my eyes, not too far off from what it cost to get Sam Darnold down to Carolina, which was a little bit of an overpay looking back at it, but ultimately trading for Sam Darnold, it wasn't the compensation that sunk the Carolina Panthers. It was really the Bryce Young trade that sunk them. Now, let me know. You guys like that trade? What are your thoughts on it? Okay. That's going to do it for us on today's show. I really appreciate everyone for tuning into this edition of Falcons Today. We're going to sign off and let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.